Is Jack Del Rio going to go for two here,
He's
Link?
going for two.
The Raiders will go for two and the probable victory with 47 seconds left.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
As the Raiders go for the two-point conversion and the lead.
Carr out of the shotgun. Looks left. Throws a lob for Michael Crabtree. Caught it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. It's Crabtree.
He caught it! He caught it! The Raiders have the lead!
Was that Crawley who was victimized?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can really do in that situation.
Inside the Superdome in New Orleans, where they gave him 3 shots to win the Super Bowl for the 49ers, and he couldn't do it.
And that's just a heck of a catch and a heck of a play.
So that was one of the heartbreaking results that we had last week in Week 1. I'm Jake Humphries, PSP NFL is on Spreaker.com right now. And yeah, it was a real shame how that one went down. The New Orleans Saints had a 14-point lead in the third quarter. The Oakland Raiders, they rallied back and they went for the 2-point conversion and won the game. The Raiders won by 1 point. The New York Giants took the lead in the fourth quarter and beat the Dallas Cowboys by 1 point. And if you were on the New York Jets head-to-head, if you came in late, they lost on a fourth quarter field goal. So there was a total of 4 points that took our week from being... And also, let's also mention that the Arizona Cardinals, they lost by 2 points as well. So the Saints lost by 1, the Cowboys lost by 1, the Jets lost by 2, and the Cardinals lost by 2. So I'm not going to be too hard on myself, given how close all of those fixtures were, and just given how back and forth they were. I feel like what I was watching in the games were the things that I thought were going to happen, but it just didn't happen that way, and that's okay. That's totally fine. It was a really tough couple of days for me after the first day, and it's not because of it's not because of the money that I lost. It's just because, I mean, look, we lost 4 stakes. It's not crippling. It's not the end of the world. It's just betting. It's what happens. But I think the reason I was so upset, I mean, we're down 3.83 stakes now with a 3-5 record overall. I think the reason I was so upset is just because, you know, the last 3 months had been boiling down to opening day. I'd been looking at the lines for a long time, and I kind of sold myself a little bit short. I said I liked the Broncos on opening night, and I didn't end up taking the Broncos. I took a team total bet that went against my initial lean, and that lost. And then there was so many people that I knew that were on the Raiders and on the Buccaneers, even on the Giants. And it really frustrated me. I feel like I was hard done by and probably should have got at least one of those matches over. And it didn't happen. And it was just a test. It was a test that was thrown to me, to us, by the bookies, by the betting gods, whatever you want to call it. It's them saying to me, hey, look, Jake, do you have the nerve for a 16-week season? I saw people left, right, and centre going 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. People who I believe I'm better than and I know I'm better than. And I had to bite the bullet, man. I just have to deal with it. You know, I like seeing people succeed, but I don't like seeing people succeed for 1 week and then parade around like they're king shit, and even speak condescendingly to me, who, you know, I believe I'm the best in the business at picking the NFL. The way I did things in week 1 was a lot of volume, and I favoured the home teams quite a bit. Obviously, I got out a lean about the San Francisco 49ers +3, which I couldn't get on my official card, but that one easily. Kind of wishing I did do that. But that's just the way it goes. You know, I think I'm the best in the business doing this. I didn't do it the way I envisioned myself doing it. I posted a few, probably a couple more bets than what I thought I was going to post. I also posted a multi-bet, which I'm not always a fan of, and I posted a challenge bet as well, and obviously the Cardinals lost us the cash there, just by virtue of not playing as well as what I thought they would. We can go through some of the games very, very quickly now, and let's talk about exactly what happened and why we lost, and, you know, kind of figure out what I've learned from these teams that we bet on, and maybe what I've learned from the teams around the league. Because I've watched, 8 or 9 games already, the majority of what was to offer on the weekend anyway. And I've learned quite a lot about these teams already, and it's going to make me it's already made me very excited getting into week 2. Now, My top play was the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. It was the New York Jets plus 3.5. We had to buy the hook at 3.5. We had to buy points at the end of it. $1.69 for 3 stakes. If I call 3 stakes, it's going to be a very, very strong play. I liked the New York Jets. I liked the matchups. AJ Green still went off like a cut snake. 10 catches for 180 yards. Burnt Darrelle Revis. But the Jets are kind of what I thought they would be. They're a tough team. They're going to be hard to cover against at home. And they're really not going to be a walk in the park for anyone, especially not the Bengals, who are really banged up. We've got the Jets game at the handicap. They lost by 2 points. A single point. And we won that bet at plus 3.5. It was unfortunate that a lot of people couldn't get on the plus 3.5, but that's the importance of betting early. What did I learn about that game? Yeah, I learned that the Jets are going to be a tough team to beat. They're going to be a tough team to cover against, especially at home. And, the props to the Bengals, they won the game outright, and they were able to get the job done without a couple of their key players. The next game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. Look, the Buccaneers were a very popular pick. The Falcons went from -3 to -2.5, and I thought, with that field goal margin for the Falcons at home, haven't lost a home opener since 1999. What did I learn? Look, I learned that the Buccaneers are a maturing team. They've got to go get after it defense. They've got some new acquisitions, and the Falcons didn't capitalize when they needed to. They settled for field goals a couple of times. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are still going to hook up, but their defense needs to do a better job, and I think Jameis Winston proved that he might be ready for another good year, and I got that one wrong. The Miami Dolphins at the Seattle Seahawks. I got this one dead right. The only problem was about this one, I switched it from 2 stakes to 1 stake, so our profit wasn't as good from it. But the Seattle Seahawks, I'm selling them all year, and that's why I'm selling them. The Miami Dolphins got after Russell Wilson. They disrupted that offensive line. They made enough plays where they had to. They lost the game by 2 points, and they covered the 10.5 easily. Next one, Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles. I faded the hell out of the Cleveland Browns. I know they're a bad team this year. They don't have any weapons on offense or defense. They scored 10 points against the Eagles. And Carson Wentz, the rookie quarterback for the Eagles, led his team to a win and got the win and got the cover very easily. The next two were both losers. Oakland Raiders at New Orleans Saints. Look, the Saints just couldn't protect the lead. They did what I thought they would do. They scored a lot of points. They scored 34 points. It just wasn't enough. 34 points wasn't enough for the Saints. They had a good game plan. Drew Brees had a relatively good game. Hooked up with Brandon Cooks for a 99-yard touchdown. But they just couldn't close it out. They couldn't get it done. New York Giants at Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys had the game. It was there to be won. But as always, clutching defeat from the jaws of victory, the Dallas Cowboys couldn't close it out. They had the lead in the fourth quarter. The New York Giants, they made several key stops against the Giants, but when they had to make one more stop, they couldn't do it. Eli Manning showed his experience. He went down the field. And he hit Victor Cruz in the end zone for the winning touchdown, which was eventually the winning touchdown. And then when the Dallas Cowboys did have a chance to stop the Giants at the end of the game, they couldn't do it. Their defensive line is so bad. Their defense is really, really bad. They made that New York Giants offensive line look like just full of all-stars. And lastly, the Arizona Cardinals. Look, I have the Arizona Cardinals to win the NFC West. They weren't good enough against the Patriots. They created a takeaway or two, I believe, but their defense was too pedestrian. The Patriots found a lot of open receivers. The Cardinals on offense weren't good enough either. Larry Fitzgerald was outstanding, but he can't do it all on his own. We need more from the Cardinals, top to bottom, than what we got last week, and that's it. We wound up on that day losing 1.83 stakes, and we went 3-4 on the day. But then you include the loss on Friday night for the opener. We're 3-5, 3.83 minus, and a winning percentage of 40. But I will say that we are 1-0 on 3-unit bets. Now, I'm going to go through this card. I've got a limit of... I've got 36 minutes left. So I think it's a good time for us to get through the entire round and just kind of talk about what we have going on. We have a Thursday night game again. It's the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Crazy line movement in this one. Obviously, the New York Jets are the public happy selection. They've gone from -3 into -0. So it's now a PK, which means even money, $1.90 either way or thereabouts, even with a little bit of favoritism towards the Jets now. And I always preach to you guys, I sound like a broken record, and it even annoys me saying it. But you've always got to be concerned, and you've always got to ask questions when you see a line move this much in the space of 2 or 3 days. The bookies dropped this line at +3 for the New York Jets, and they knew they were going to get action on that line. I don't know if they think that the Bills are going to win. I don't know what they're thinking. But what I am thinking is right now the Bills, they can't have gotten much worse than what they were last week. Their offense was terrible. They scored 7 points against the Baltimore Ravens on the road. However, coming back here, playing in Buffalo, they're a much much more difficult proposition for anyone. They beat the Jets here last year. They beat the Packers here a couple of years ago. The Buffalo Bills are quite hard to beat at home. Now, their coach, this is a bit of an extra X factor for the home team, the Bills. Their coach, Rex Ryan, is the New York Jets' former coach. And he knows quite a lot about the Jets. And I think he's always, as long as he's coaching in the NFL, whenever he plays the Jets, he's going to have his team very ready and very prepared in regards to a game plan, because I think he knows a lot about the personnel on this Jets team, because a lot of the people that are on the Jets team are people that he coached, even some of these guys from the ground up from the start of their career. Especially a lot of these defensive guys who kind of came into the league when Rex was on the team, like Muhammad Wilkerson and even Sheldon Richardson. A lot of these people who Rex actually drafted, Calvin Pryor, he knows a lot about these people, and I think that him knowing that does help him and his team. So the Jets have gone from -3 into PK, which is a 3-point line movement. The total has gone from 42.5 down to 40, which means people are on the under. You know, I like the under, but also I'm going to stick to the trend of kind of, it's really tricky, because the thing that's been hard for me to make the transition to the NFL has been that I read NFL games differently than I read baseball games. I read baseball games differently than I read NRL games. I read them all differently. With baseball, I take a pure public line movement approach because I don't know enough about the sport. But with the NFL, there needs to be situations where my knowledge and my experience can take over, and where I can look at a line and say, hey, fuck the public, fuck the flow, fuck what Vegas wants you to bet on. I know what's going to happen. And I need to have that killer instinct, and I need to do it like I did it last year. Because last year, I didn't pay that much attention to the lines, and it got me to the promised land at the end of the year, and I need to be doing that again. Last week, maybe I looked a little bit too much into the line movement, but it's okay. It was only 4 stakes worth of errors on my behalf. I'm not saying I regret making those selections. I stand by them. I think they were strong plays, and the teams didn't get the job done. But I am going to look at it a little bit differently this week. We're 12 minutes in, and you know, I'm ready to start talking about these games. So we've got the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, as I've already mentioned, are at PK at the moment. Rex Ryan, blah, 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 blah. What I'm going to do for you guys really quickly now, I'm just going to play a little bit of music. And I'll be back in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. I want to try and get a bit more quality into my podcast. Not a lot of rambling, so I'm going to take a bit of a break and play some Skepta. I'll be back in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm sorry to the people who don't listen to rap, but I'm playing what I like. I'll talk to you soon.
So what, you think you're the best? You against me, that's a disrespect. Said that you're the top boy, still I ain't heard a better mixtape than Blacklisted yet. No playlist, no label home. Just a couple real niggas in an iPhone. Now everybody wanna talk business and I'm like, thank you, but computer says no. This ain't back in the day. Won't catch me at no champagne spray. Last night, man, I got paid in cash, gave half to my mum and said, put that away. Grab 2 packs and it's back to the ends. Meridian Walk, North London again. Boy, better know we're getting money online. That's why your wifey stays in my DMs. Go on, then. Yeah. Yo, big up the 412. Big up the Tottenham crew. Yeah. You know the steez. Don't believe what you're seeing on the TV channels, please. I won a Mobo last year, so they ain't sent me an award to put on the mantelpiece. But no doubt, the girls still wanna come to the house and get frisky, cause I'm the only real nigga in Dixie, flexing in the GQ top 50. Let me tell you why my thing's 30. I slept in my friend's spare room in New Jersey, woke up early, trying to catch the worm in the Big Apple. Only had enough cash for a pink snapple if I got thirsty. No Wi-Fi, it was a V-long journey. Walking 17 blocks to the radio, praying that somebody heard me. Now I'm on the 19th floor. I grab a towel and I put it by the door. We shouldn't be smoking in here by law, but right.
Alright, I'll cut you guys a little bit short, okay? It was only 1 minute of UK grime rap. I hope that was bearable for you guys, especially guys like my dad who might be listening, who would have absolutely just cringed at what I was playing. But I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to play Justin Bieber or, you know, I'm not going to play anything I don't like. Alright, so let's get into it now. I do have 30 minutes left on air. It seems like a fitting time. Alright, so I guess you guys want to hear exactly what I'm leaning on for this game, the New York Jets. Look, when I first saw this game, I thought to myself, okay, look, yes, the Jets were swept by the Bills last year. However, the Bills seem to have taken a few steps backwards. They were so bad in Baltimore, and the Jets were very, very unlucky to lose at home against the Bills. However, I've since changed my stance. I need people to understand that Week 2 has some of the biggest overreactions from public bettors in any, above any other week in sports. They see all of this stuff happen in week 1, these crazy results, and they think, all right, I'm going to bank on that. That's what's going to happen next week. These trends are going to continue. This is this is the team we've got for the year. No, it doesn't happen that way. We've got a lot of head-scratching lines this week, and I think this is the week where a lot of people are going to have difficult weeks. A lot of people I saw had a really good time betting in week 1, but I think that this one is going to bring a lot of curveballs. Now, in this game, I'm probably not going to have a play. I do have a small lean on the Buffalo Bills at home, but it all depends on where this line ends up. If I can possibly get this line at +2.5 or +3, I'll take the Bills. And I may be able to get it there because this line has moved so much, but we've got about 30 hours until this game kicks off, I think. And I'm not sure if it's going to go that much. I don't think it's going to move that much. And at this point, I probably wouldn't touch anything at all. I need to start getting used to not sending out plays, quality over quantity. So a lean Buffalo Bills +3.5. My initial lean was Jets +3.5 or +3, just because I think this game's going to be so close. I was willing to roll with whatever underdog. But I think Vegas wants me to bet on the Jets, and that's what I'm worried about. I said that I was going to back myself and not worry too much about the lines and where the money's going, but this one is a real head-scratcher for me, because why were the Jets dropped at +3? Why were they +3? If they played so strongly against the Bengals last round, and the Bills absolutely stunk the joint up, then why are the Bills a -3 point home favourite? Why? Questions have got to be asked. We've got to think about that because, these lines aren't too good to be true. We've got to be careful. We've got to monitor the line movement, monitor the ins and outs. My lean would be on either underdog plus points. Doesn't that sound funny? Either underdog plus points. It just depends where this line goes for me. But whatever I drop, it's not going to be strong. It's not going to be strong. It's not going to be big. It's not going to be 3 stakes. It might be 1 stake. We'll see how we go. Next game. San Francisco 49ers +13.5 at the Carolina Panthers. The 49ers got a win on Monday night against the Rams, who were awful. I don't know if they're going to be awful, but they were awful. And the Carolina Panthers lost on the road to Denver. The Carolina Panthers are entering this game with a 10-day turnaround. Let's not forget that. And the San Francisco 49ers are on a short turnaround. And they are traveling across the country, okay, to a different time zone. The Carolina Panthers would have left Denver on Friday morning, gone back to Carolina, licked their wounds, and started preparing for this game. The Carolina Panthers are going to have a home field advantage. They're going to have a rest advantage. I know it's only week 2, but they're still going to have a rest advantage. They've got a 10-day turnaround. They're going to have a lot of advantages in this game. And the Carolina Panthers, for the most part last week, looked pretty good. Let's not overreact on the 49ers, okay? This line looks big. 13.5 looks big for the 49ers. You see the Panthers that lost last week, they might be a little bit demoralised. The 49ers got a 28-0 win. They'll cover 13.5, right? I would not be so sure. This line has gone from 13 to 13.5. Per covers.com, it says to me that 53% of people are on the home team, the Carolina Panthers. Okay? That sounds about right. The line's gone from 13 to 13.5, so it could be a bit of big money on the Panthers. But I would suggest that this line is going to go close to 11 or 12 on game day. I think this San Francisco 49ers line looks really good. But I think it looks good to everyone. But do I think it's great? Not really. I'm not ready to fade the Panthers. Let's think about this. Panthers team went 13-0 last year to start the season, or 14-0. It was one of the two. And the San Francisco 49ers team, yes, they had a very good win, but that win came against such a poor Rams team. This Carolina Panthers outfit is such a step up in quality. They're at home, their home opener. Let's not sell them too short. I think the Panthers will win this one by a touchdown or 2. And depending on where this line goes, I might end up taking them. My lean is on the Panthers by a landslide. I think that Cam Newton is an excellent player, and his offense was still good against the Broncos. They just couldn't stop a really ferocious home force in the Denver Broncos, and there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that at all. The Panthers are still going to be a great team. I still think they'll win at least 10 games, and one of the wins is going to be this weekend. You can bank on them winning. Will they cover the number? I'm not too sure, but the Panthers will beat the 49ers this weekend. Don't even think about taking a money line upset. Someone record that and try and play it back to me after the game, because the Panthers will win this football game. They're not going 0-2 against the Niners. Don't overreact on the Niners. They got to win. Take yourself back down to earth. It's week 2. Not everything is decided in week 1, and not all of these teams' futures are decided in week 1, and we need to not overreact. Just like the public have overreacted on the Jets and underreacted on the Bills. This Bills team could still be an okay team. It could have just been a really, really, really bad effort they turned into Baltimore. Speaking of Baltimore, they're -7 at the Cleveland Browns, where 38% of the public are on the home underdog at 7, and this line's gone from 4.5 to 7. So a 2.5 point line movement. We have seen a lot of action on the Baltimore Ravens. I am not going to touch this game. Okay, let me tell you why I'm not going to touch either side. Alright? Why am I not going to touch the Baltimore Ravens? I'm not going to touch the Baltimore Ravens because A, they're on the road. B, the line is 7. C, they don't have a very high-powered offense. And D, the most important dot point of this list, it's an AFC North matchup. And these matchups, any football fans will know, they're low-scoring, they're gritty, it don't matter who's playing who. These games are tough, and the Cleveland Browns, as a +7 home dog, that's a bit too big for the Ravens to cover. Why I'm not going to bet Cleveland? Because they're awful. They lost Robert Griffin III, their starting quarterback, for 3 or 4 weeks. But, they are so bad. The Browns are so bad. They have no one that you can hang your hat on. Josh Gordon isn't in the team yet, who is their superstar wide receiver, who's still suspended. He'll be back soon. He might help them a little bit. But as far as this game goes, don't get me away from it. Get me away from it right now. Let's go. Let's move on. Tennessee Titans +5.5 at the Detroit Lions. The line is 5.5 for the Tennessee Titans, and I love that line. I love the line. You guys know that I'm high on the Tennessee Titans. Okay, that news didn't come down in last night's shower. I've been telling you guys about it for a long time. I love the Tennessee Titans. Last week, their offense was good in the first half. Okay, they were moving the ball. They weren't finishing drives, and in the second half, they had a couple of unlucky turnovers. I won't say unlucky. I'll give credit to my boys, the Vikings, but 2 defensive touchdowns for the Vikings in the second half really threw the Titans off. I thought the Titans were really in it in the first half, and if the ball bounced a different way a couple of times, they could have easily won the game. Obviously, they did end up losing by 8 points, I think it was. Now, the Detroit Lions won on the road against the Colts, and I think this is a bit of an overreaction line from the public. 5.5 is where I don't think this line should be 5.5 at all. The Lions, they beat the Colts in Indy by 4 points, right? The Titans lost to the Vikings by 6, 7, 8, whatever it was. But this line at 5.5, nearly 2 field goals for the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans this year are going to have more wins than the Lions. I think the Lions last week got a lot of success just because the Colts, their defense is horrible. Maybe they caught the Colts slipping a little bit. They were a little bit... They weren't totally ready for the first half. You saw the Colts come back and really rally in the second half. Maybe the Lions caught them napping. The Titans, well, I like what their offense did. They've still got a good quarterback. They've still got a good defense. I think the Titans cover and could even win this game outright. I like the Titans +5.5. Don't you dare bet on it yet until I give you my initial picks. My official rather than initial. This would be initial. And the official would be the ones I type up. Don't bet on it until then, but if you're looking for a lean, if you're looking to think, hey, what's Jake thinking? Out of the first 4 games, yeah, I like the Buffalo Bills plus, yeah, I like the Panthers minus, but I definitely like the Titans plus. We've got 4 games down, we've got to move on, we've got to do it quick. I've got 22 minutes left on air. I'm not doing a second episode like last week. Kansas City Chiefs +2.5 at the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have 53% of the public betting on them, apparently, according to Covers.com. According to scoresandodds.com, the Kansas City Chiefs have 72% of people betting on them, and the Texans have 28%. How can I get a clean read of who's betting on what? I kind of just know that people are going to be betting on the Texans anyway. Yeah, Scores and Odds is telling me something differently, but I think, to me, the Chiefs would be the team that is going to get bet on more. You know what, let me do a third and final deciding website. I'm going to go to thespread.com. And I'm going to see where they have these lines listed in regards to what people are betting on. Because, yeah, it says 72% on one website for the Chiefs, and then it says 47% on the other website. It's a bit tricky. Apparently, 56% of people, 56% of wagers that they have gotten on the spread have been for the Chiefs. But let's think about this. The Chiefs open as a -105 moneyline favourite. They are now +120, which means they've gone from about $1.90 to about $2.10. So the line's moved a lot, right? So it's looking like, yeah, we may have more wagers on the Chiefs, but we have volume on the Texans. Now, the Chiefs last week were bad. They were bad in the first half. They were able to rally in the second half. However, they were far from convincing. The Houston Texans, the same can be said about them. They have Brock Osweiler in quarterback, and I didn't watch the Texans game, but I don't think he really lit it up too much. They just beat a bad Bears team, 23 points to 14. The Chiefs came back and beat a bad Chargers team, 30 30-something to 30-something, or 33 to 27, let's say that. I think it was that, in overtime. So both of these teams kind of didn't really impress me in week one, and this is a very close line. This game is actually a repeat of a playoff game last year where the Chiefs walked in there and dominated the Texans. They'll definitely have the psychological edge, but that's the only edge they'll really have. I'm not touching this game. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a smash-mouth game. It could be low scoring, but I don't like this game at all just because I don't know what either team is all about yet. I think I know what the Titans are all about. I think they're going to be a quality team. I know the Panthers are going to be a good team, but the Chiefs and the Texans, I don't know. Now, Miami Dolphins at New England Patriots. 52% of the public, apparently, is on the Miami Dolphins plus 6.5. According to scoresandodds.com, we have 30% of the public on the Miami Dolphins. And according to thespread.com, we have 40% of the public on the Miami Dolphins. And I'll tell you how I know that more people are on the Patriots. Two websites told me, but also the line's gone from 5.5 to 6.5. Sometimes it's sharp money, sometimes it's public money, but here, with a team like the New England Patriots, who won last week, this could be a public overreaction. Are they ready to cover 6.5 against the Miami Dolphins team who travelled to Seattle and lost by 2 points? Are they ready to cover 6.5 against the Miami Dolphins defense that looked excellent last week and have guys like Mario Williams, Cameron Wake on that defense, Rashad Jones, Kiko Alonso? Are they ready to come out and do it all again? No, I don't think so. This is an AFC East divisional match. The New England Patriots always have a hard time beating the Dolphins by double digits. They lost to them outright last year in Miami at the end of the game, at the end of the year. Okay, I think this game is going to be really close. Let's read the last few results, because these last few results are going to contradict what I've said a little bit. Okay, whatever, I may have been wrong. Let's think about it. The last time these two teams played each other, Miami won 20 points to 10. And the line was Miami plus 10, so Miami covered. Before that, the Patriots won 36-7. Before that, it was 41-13. Both of these matches were in New England, and New England covered both times. However, the match before that, on the 7th of the 9th, 2014, the Miami Dolphins won 33 points to 20 in Miami as a 3.5-point home favourite. Bang. Ready? The game before that, the Miami Dolphins won 24 points to 20 as a 2.5-point home favourite in 2013. Before that, the Patriots won 27 points to 17 as a 6.5-point home favourite in 2013. I'm detecting a trend here, guys. Before that, the Patriots covered 11.5 with a 28-point win. Before that, the Miami Dolphins lost 23-16 as an 8-point home underdog. Before that, the Miami Dolphins lost 27 points to 24 as a 9-point away underdog. And the time before that, the New England Patriots covered as a 7-point home underdog. So let's get this straight, okay? Home team, 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 home team. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the last 8 matches between the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins, the home team has covered the number. Right? Cover the number. So that means that in this one, the New England Patriots should cover the number, because the home team has covered the number the last 8 times between the two teams. However, the last 2 times the Miami Dolphins have played at home, check that. The last 3 times, check that. 4. The last 4 times the Miami Dolphins have played at home against the New England Patriots, obviously, if the home team's been covering, then they're covering. But they're not at home. They're going on the road in this one. So it seems to me like the advantage would lie with the home team in this game. Let me look a little bit deeper into these games. Sorry, I know I'm really confusing you. Miami underdog. Miami underdog. Miami underdog. Miami underdog. Okay, let me say this. The last 4 times the Miami Dolphins have been an underdog against the New England Patriots, no matter what the venue, they've covered. Okay? Sorry, I'm taking so long for this game because Okay, let's read a couple of trends. Let me see if any of these trends can help me out. Ugh, these trends are gross. Whew. Dolphins are 31-15 against the spread in their last 46 road games versus a team with a winning record. Ugh. Patriots are 18-7-2 against the spread in their last 27 home games. You know what? Stuff these trends. They don't have the trends I'm looking for. And the reason they don't have the trends that I'm looking for is because they know the trends that I'm looking for hold the answers. I know the home teams have been good in these matchups, right? But I also know the Miami Dolphins love covering as an underdog against the Patriots. I don't know if you guys understood everything that I just said, but what I'm saying to you is, yes, the home team has the advantage in these matchups, but also the Miami Dolphins as underdogs have cashed the last 4 times in a row at least against the Patriots, from what I can see here. which means I think the Miami Dolphins are going to do it again. The Patriots are getting bet heavily. They beat the Cardinals on the road. Yes, I know. But this Miami Dolphins team, I'm buying them. They're good. They have a good defense. Their offense is good enough. They may get a couple of people back this week. And when I say people, I mean big dogs. I mean their starting center. I mean their second string wide receiver. So it's going to happen for the Miami Dolphins, all right? Let's look at this. Devontae Parker. Dolphins coach Adam Gase is hopeful Devontae Parker will return in week 2. Okay. Kenny Stills caught 1 of 5 targets for 16 yards in Miami's week 1 loss in Seattle. He's probably going to play. But let's go to the big one. Here we go. Mike Pouncey. Dolphins center Mike Pouncey is dealing with a small fracture in his hip. That's week to week. That doesn't sound as promising, but if we can get Devontae Parker back on the offensive side of the ball, that's going to help them out. I have a definite lean on Miami. I think people are overreacting on the Patriots. I think they might be a little bit too happy with what they did on the primetime slot the other night, and I don't know if they're ready to back it up in such a way that they will get a home cover against the Miami Dolphins. Just one quick thing. I think when was the last time the New England Patriots covered against the Miami Dolphins as a favourite? Yeah, it was last time they played at home. Sorry, I'm just digging right into these stats. Let's get out of this one before this matchup makes me sick. I like the Dolphins plus 6.5. You extracted that out of that little ramble, I trust. 14 minutes left. Whoa, let's get to it. Okay, New Orleans Saints this will save me some time. I'm not betting on this game. The New Orleans Saints suck. The Giants suck. I don't rate the Giants. Stuff them. I don't care if they beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't do anything on attack. And the Giants just kind of... Nah, I'm done, bro. I'm done. I'm not betting on this game. Do I have a lean? No. Bye. Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals are a +3 away dog. The Steelers have 70% of the people betting on them at home as a -3 favourite. As a -3 chalk. I was so happy with what the Steelers did on Monday night. They've got players out. They've got Le'Veon Bell out. They've got Ladarius Green out. They've got Marcus Wheaton out. They killed it. They put up 36 points or whatever against the Redskins. Antonio Brown looked good. Ben Roethlisberger looked good. But their defense looked good. They conceded 1 touchdown on the road against Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Jackson, Jordan Reed, Matt Jones, and the Redskins. Not a bad offense. 1 touchdown. The defense is good. They're in check. However, I think the Bengals, they like playing the Steelers, man. Especially recently. That's what I think. Let me see if I'm right. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Man, I am so sick of being wrong. The last time these two teams played each other, Pittsburgh. Before that, Pittsburgh. Before that, Cincinnati. Before that, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Okay, fine. Maybe it's the Ravens that the Bengals play pretty closely. Okay? It seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers are definitely going to be a pretty public heavy bet in this one. What do I like in this game? I'll be honest with you, man. I kind of like the Bengals, depending on what line we can get. But I'm really not ready to fade the Steelers. And I said last week that the Bengals have a few players out. That's still apparent. They still have a few big weapons out. And this Steelers defense look really, really good. Let's talk about the public number. Covers.com tells me 70% of the people are betting on the Steelers. The spread.com tells me 59% of the people are betting on the Steelers. But scores and odds with another curveball tells me that 73% of people are betting on the Bengals. This line has gone from -3.5 for -105 for the Steelers down to 3.5 even, 3-2. So it does look like the money has possibly come in a bit heavier for the Bengals, but I still think this one's going to be most of the squares are going to be on the Steelers here. That's what I'm reading from this one. I have a small lean on the Bengals, but I'm not going to take the Bengals with the points on the road. And I'm not going to take them against the Steelers. I kind of like this Steelers team, and they're looking pretty good. Next one, Dallas Cowboys at Washington Redskins. Why do I have to talk about this game? I don't want to talk about this game because the Dallas Cowboys are incapable of playing excellent football or above average football as long as their defense is so bad. They made the Giants look so good last week in that fourth quarter. Maybe I'm just so angry at the Cowboys for losing me money that I'm selling them way short. Dak Prescott is a game manager. And when you are in Dallas, I have now decided that you don't need a game manager. You need a real NFL quarterback because you need to score points because the defense cannot block points. They cannot stop points. They cannot prevent points from coming in on the other team's score sheet. They can't do it. So you need your quarterback to throw touchdowns. And Dak Prescott did not do that last week. He threw something like 22 out of 35 for 220 yards. It's not going to cut it. He needs to do more. They need to take more chances with him. Des Bryant needs to get open. And this weekend, Des Bryant is up against Josh Norman, who played Antonio Brown very well on the weekend. And the Redskins have another home opportunity, another home chance in this game that I'm considering to be very close to a must-win game. Doesn't that sound so silly in week 2? But, something like 12% of teams that start the year 0-2 make the playoffs. Teams just don't do it. It just doesn't happen. it doesn't happen. Teams that start 0-2 don't make the playoffs that often. So I think both of the coaches will have that really, really drilled into both of these teams. It's going to be a really tricky game to predict, an NFC East matchup. The Dallas Cowboys, 2.5-point away underdog, they do have a bit of the public attention. They actually got a win last year at this same oval, this same field, and I finally got a consensus that's telling me that everybody is betting on the Dallas Cowboys. Man, you know what? Looking at this game, the Cowboys, I genuinely think the Cowboys are that shit. Isn't it crazy how last week I was on the podcast telling you about how much I liked these Dallas Cowboys players? But after watching them, it kind of looked like Prescott's not really going to be cutting it loose too much. Ezekiel Elliott may not be able to do anything because of how aggressive these defenses are going to be towards the Dallas Cowboys running attack. They know they can't pass it. So, hey, let's shut down the run. Cole Beasley was the best-looking guy on their offense. Jason Witten's getting a little bit old. Des Bryant is getting attention, man. He's getting attention from one DB, two DBs, one really good DB, sometimes an extra DB. I don't know about it. The Dallas Cowboys, I bought them last week in the season open, but I'm going to be quick to sell them this week. I think the Redskins are pretty good bet in this on -2.5. Let me stick a lean on the Washington Redskins. I didn't watch all of the game last week, but I still have faith in this offense. And the Cowboys defense is so bad. Not saying the Washington Redskins defense lit it up last weekend, but at least they had an excuse. They were against Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. And yeah, I know the Cowboys, whatever, they were against Eli Manning and Odell Beckham, but I cannot get out of my head how well the Giants ran the ball last week when the Cowboys desperately needed a stop more than anything. They were letting Rashad Jennings run through the defensive line, run through the A-gap, and he didn't even get flicked. He didn't even get brushed by a D lineman. They sucked last week. Let's get to another game. We've got 8 minutes, 41 seconds left. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to skip to my POD, my play of the day, my play of the week, my play of the round, is the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 3.5 at the San Diego Chargers. 48% of people are on the Jacksonville... Sorry, it's plus... On covers.com, it's listed as +3, but we're buying the hook because I love buying hooks because games finish by 3 points decided all the time. 48% of people are on the Jacksonville Jaguars on covers.com. 72% of people are on the Jacksonville Jaguars at the spread.com. And if I'm going over to scoresandodds.com, I can see that a whopping apparent 96% of people are on the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, the line has gone from 2.5 to 3, which means people are banking on the Chargers covering. Now, if I was to take a complete public line movement approach in this game, I would say don't bet on the Jags, but I'm not. I'm taking the shackles off. I'm finally taking a Jake Humphries football. What do I genuinely think is going to happen? And I don't care if the public, I don't care if your Uncle Murray, I don't care if your sister, your brother, I don't care if you've given your cat a $50 note and he goes down to the tab and puts money on the Jags. I don't care who's on the Jags, I'm on them too. The Jags are a good football team. They almost beat the Super Bowl favourite Green Bay Packers last week. The San Diego Chargers were so good in the first half last week, but guess what? They lost their best offensive player in Keenan Allen, who is a beast. They may have a little bit of disappointment looming from the way they blew that game in the second half. And I think this Jags team, their offense is good. They're going to play a team that just genuinely isn't as good as what they played last week. I think the Jags come out, they beat San Diego, they put them at 0-2, and they say, hey, look, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to lay down this year. We're going to get a win on the board when we need to. And the Chargers are going to keep sucking. That's what I like. I like the Jags plus 3.5. Take it to the bank. I like it. I'm 1-0 on 3-unit plays, and this is a 3-unit play, so it means that it's probably not going to lose. You can record that too, and maybe it will lose. Play it back to me if it does lose, and I'll cop it on the chin. So we've got some remaining games. I'll scratch the Seattle Seahawks game at the horrible LA Rams because there's no lines released for that yet. I can actually see the Rams as a plus 3.5 point home underdog. I don't know how official that is because the lines aren't out at a lot of places. Plus 3.5 home underdog is telling me that everyone's going to be betting on the Seahawks. We'll wait for the status of Russell Wilson. The dude hurt his ankle last week. Seahawks didn't look very good, and they have a hard time beating the Rams. We'll see what happens with that line and how things play out. I will skip that for now, which means I've got 5 games to talk about, and I've got 5 minutes, 58 seconds to do so. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Arizona Cardinals. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Falcons on the road last week, right? They started off well. They beat the Falcons easily. The Arizona Cardinals at home played really, really bad against the Patriots, right? They lost. The Bucs are 1-0. The Cardinals are 0-1. So what do you think the line should be? Right? What do you think the line should be? Because going off what I just said, the line should be 3 or 4. The line's 6.5. Bucks plus 6.5. Bit of a head-scratching line. I mean, I do rate the Cardinals. Their defense is really, really good. And Jameis Winston is playing the Cardinals this weekend, not the Falcons. He could have a hard time. He could have he could have a game where his inexperience shows. From what I saw from the Cardinals last week, I'm not prepared to take them to cover a number. That's what I'm going to leave it at. I'm not prepared to take them to cover a number. It's 6.5. We'll see where this line ends up, but I'm not prepared to take the Cardinals. I might even like the Bucks, man. I might even like the Bucks. It sucks for me to say this because I took the Cardinals to win the NFC West, but I didn't see the same Cardinals team that I saw last year, the other day. So I might even take the Bucks. At the end, I'm going to go through every single one of my leans, but you could maybe chalk that one up. Okay, I need a couple of minutes to talk about this one. Indianapolis Colts plus 6 at the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, they were minus 4.5. Now they're minus 6. Covers.com says 54% of the people are betting on the Indianapolis Colts. Scoresandodds.com said that 84% of people are betting on the Indianapolis Colts. And the spread.com says that 63% of people are betting on the Denver Broncos. So we don't have a unanimous consensus, but it is also telling me that the line's gone from 4.5 to 6. So someone's putting money on the Denver Broncos to cover. And it's because they played so well in their home opener last week. But you know what? This has got to be compared to the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, where, Trevor Siemian came out and played really well at home, a rookie quarterback. But now that these guys have got a bit more film on him, are they going to be able to, figure him out a little bit? Maybe Indianapolis and Miami can both do the same thing this week and kind of catch up to what this rookie QB did in week 1. The Indianapolis Colts, if I'm not mistaken, generally play the Denver Broncos pretty close. Let's see if I've got this one right. Yeah, I've got this one dead right. The Indianapolis Colts have won 6 of their last 7 against the Denver Broncos. And the only game they lost, all right, we could really be onto something here. Hang on. 1 plus 3.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, the Indianapolis Colts are 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 matches against Denver. Whoa. They've also won 6 of their last 7 head-to-head against Denver. They also knocked Denver out of the playoffs 2 years ago. I don't know what it is, but the Colts are good against Denver. And Denver, I don't know how well their offense is going to play in this game, but I think that this could be a little bit of an overreaction. Do I have the balls to bet on the Indianapolis Colts? I don't know. We're going to have to see where the line goes. The Colts were really bad last week, but we still get the feeling that they're going to be a pretty genuine team in the AFC South. They'll still probably rake 8 to 9 wins. More. Maybe 10 wins. It's difficult because I like the Titans to win that division, but Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck. He's going to come through and have his fair share of good games. We're running short on time. I'll tell you what I like for the last 3 games. The Atlanta Falcons and the Oakland Raiders. I don't like anything. The line's 4.5. The Raiders are a home favourite. That line's been put from 5.5 to 4.5. I don't really like much in that game. The Green Bay Packers going into Minnesota. This is the Minnesota Vikings home opener. Is Sean Hill being in quarterback going to really trouble them finally? And when I say finally, I just kind of mean after 1 week, because I'm already surprised that he didn't have a shocker last week, but he played all right. The Packers, are they going to make it 2-0 on the road to start the year? I think yes. And you know what? 77% of the public agree on this one. I'm telling you, the Packers are probably going to be the most public-heavy bet this week. Yeah, every website, every link is telling me the Packers are going to beat the Vikings this week, and I probably agree. I know as a Vikings fan, the Packers own us. Aaron Rodgers is legit. And you know what? Sometimes the public just wins. Like last year, the Toronto Blue Jays kept covering the number. Like the Carolina Panthers kept covering. Like this year, the Chicago Cubs are covering in baseball. Sometimes you get on a team and you ride them, and Vegas, they bite the bullet and they lose every single week. And it could be a thing that happens with the Packers. The Packers didn't win against the number last week. But they won money line, and this might be a situation where they win money line again, or they cover the 2 that's been given to them. This line's gone from 2 to 2.5 back to 2, so there is a bit of action on the Vikings, but I couldn't play the Vikings because I can't play Sean Hill. And the very last one, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Chicago Bears. The Eagles are +3 underdog. And it's looking like a pretty popular public bet. I like the Eagles in this one, man. I'm a little bit worried about their rookie quarterback and how he's going to travel to Soldier Field. I think the Bears are going to take quite a bit of pride in this home opener, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to cover because they just are a pretty genuinely poor team. I've got 20 seconds left, okay? 20 seconds left. This is going to cut out on me. Let me cut out mid-talking. Buffalo Bills, Carolina Panthers, Tennessee Titans, Miami Dolphins, Washington Redskins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Green Bay Packers are my leans. Wait for my official picks. Goodbye.